Hey, what's up everybody, Evil here. Little update video on my YD2 Shark. So the last time I posted, I had just built it, done some tuning to get it handling decently, but it's been a few months since then, so I thought I would post an update of what I've been doing with it and if I'm still happy with it, etc. So this is the Shark, and it's going to look quite a bit different than the last video, and that's because I've switched over. It basically went on a diet. The car, while it handled really well, it was really heavy. So stopping and coming out of corners, I felt at a bit of disadvantage of some of the faster cars around there, and I think a lot of that had to do with weight. So a couple of the Shark owners at our track switched over to this is the Scale Reflex Hydra. It says Hydra on the chassis there. Anyway, this is a sort of a super lightweight flexi conversion for the Shark chassis. This setup I think is around 140 bucks or whatever, but worth it all day long. So switching over to this setup had an immediate impact on the car, and here's the chassis that it replaced. So it loses quite a bit of aluminum, quite a bit of carbon, takes it down to a non-adjustable wheelbase, but the impact on the car is significant. I unfortunately did not take, I don't remember, I think it was around 1370 grams with the other setup, and I just weighed it last night, and the car is now 1259. So the goal was to get it down to like the weight of my YD2 ZX. Like, this car just shoots out of corners, super fast, super nimble, and this car just felt a little more sluggish. So I wanted to put this car on a diet and get the weight down, which I did. So the ZX, you can see, is 1266 with 3367 front to rear weight bias, and the Shark is 1259 with 3268. So almost identical in weight and weight bias. So the car is much improved at this weight level. I'm still working on, I want to get it a little bit lighter, even with the aluminum arms and stuff versus all the plastic on the ZX. The car is still a little bit lighter, I think, just because I'm not running the big plastic bumpers. I'm not running that huge whale tail on the back of this thing, just because the goal was to try and get it as light as possible. I got a couple more things on the way. So one thing is this has the aluminum Rhino CLSD differential in it. I picked up the lightweight version last night at Slideworks. So I'm going to build this up, put that in there. That should make it lose around 20 grams or so. As well as I'm trying to locate some plastic rear arms, so that should save a few grams as well. So I want to get it as light as possible, and then just see how well I can get the car handling. So well, this car, it's got the stock gear diff. Everything's pretty stock on this car. It's pretty phenomenal right out of the box. Unfortunately, they stopped making this car, but if you can get your hands on one of these, like, all day long, this car, I feel like, is as good as my SX3 that's converted to a Shark. Phenomenal traction, phenomenal stopping. So yeah, these cars are set up identically suspension wise. These are the Yokomo SLF low friction. These have the tapered pistons, 6-hole pistons, both of them 1.2 mil tapered pistons. They're running the same springs, and the my YD2 is like, it's just super compliant, super smooth. This car, it seems more draggy. So there you go with identical shocks. It's just, I think I need to put new O-rings, maybe shock shafts in this. It's not bad, but like, it's not like that. So same oil, same everything. That's just the difference in keeping your shocks fresh. So but anyway, yeah, so I'll also like the shock pistons, they are tapered to come up easier, so to transfer weight to the rear. When you get on the track, you can watch the front end lift on both of these cars. So they're tapered upward to allow the piston to travel easier upward, and then a little more dampening going down. And the rear is the opposite. They're tapered so that it travels downward easier, and then more dampening coming up. But the whole idea is to make the car, right, get more sort of weight transfer, get weight to the rear when you put the power on. So that is that. And like I say, and the other mod I did was the CLSD. I hadn't done that yet in the other video. The CLSD basically basically at low speed, it's open. It's an open diff, so the car rotates off power. It rotates really well, and then when you get on it, the centrifugal force forces the diff to lock up, and so you're essentially posi-track, or mostly you know, fully locked in the rear with that differential. This car doesn't have that, and it doesn't really feel like it needs it, but like I say, I'm going to switch over to this lightweight on this car to make it lose a little more weight, and then I'll probably put a CLSD in this car, since we'll have two. Other than that, I mean, just a little bit of tweaking on the electronics. I think I'm running 22 degrees turbo and like 5 degrees of boost, I think, and it's pretty zippy. This car, I'm only running like 20 degrees of turbo and 5 degrees of boost, and that's just because I'm still feeling things out with this motor. I'm running the Yokomo DX1 Type R versus 10.5 Fledge. Can't feel a lot of difference between the motors on these things. And I added a fan for active cooling, but with the amount of timing I had on this thing, I mean, it comes off the track cold, so really not needed. I may take that fan off of there, but I put it on there so that if I want to bump up the timing, I got a little bit of active cooling going on. I don't know what else. I switched over to these are Yokomo high traction wheels. Basically, they're made to give a little flex rotationally, which just supposed to, I don't know if it makes any difference. I can't tell a huge difference. They are really light, and traction wise they seem to be pretty good. It's a theory. I don't know if it really makes a difference, but I like the wheels anyway. So yeah, switched over to those. I don't know. Other than that, I installed the AccuVent's telemetry module, so I can get telemetry back to my 7PXR. That I really like, because you can monitor ESC and motor temps. You can monitor battery voltage, which I really like. These things I tend to drive for 45 minutes to an hour, and you kind of lose track of time. So that thing allows you to easily watch your battery voltage, and it'll actually vibrate the radio based on your battery voltage if you get it too low. Anyway, but that is the updates on the Shark. Still really happy with this car. It's a real huge upgrade, stepping up from the SX3. It's not as big of an upgrade from the YD2ZX. The YD2ZX is a phenomenal car. It's one of the favorites I've ever driven. So these cars are almost on par, I think, performance-wise, at least from what I can tell on the track I'm driving. We drive on a pretty small track. There's a lot of stop and go, not huge flowing corners or whatnot. But on this track, these cars feel pretty good. I may change my tune once I get it on a more wide open and flowy track. But anyway, I still recommend this upgrade if you're on an older YD2 or maybe a lower end YD2. It's a great conversion. Allows you to get to 3 gear if you're on 4 gear, which the 3 gear to me is phenomenal. I drove this on 4 gear, not impressed. On 3 gear, it just turns it into an animal, which is what I really like about the ZX as well. So still like it. It's pretty pricey. I guess I should mention this. So I bought this car after I did this, and I only bought this because I got it kind of cheap. my buddy built one of these. I drove it and I was like, man, this is really, really good. I couldn't believe how good it was right out of the box. And I bought this. These are going for $650 or so in the States or whatever. I got this car for around $500. It's imported from Japan, which I guess they're going a lot cheaper over there for some reason. But with shipping and whatnot, I thought I got a really good deal on this car. So I'm really happy I bought this. It's a huge upgrade over the SX3. Really like the SX3, but this car is a whole different animal. Like I say, my opinion between these two cars is they're pretty similar. They both have a flexible, like a flex setup chassis. So yeah, I guess the only thing I would say bad about the Shark is I don't know about parts availability. Rhino Racing is a bit of a unknown quantity to me, but right now parts seem to be easy to get. Lots of people are building them, and I haven't had an issue. I just don't know, if what kind of longevity or whatever the company's going to have. Yokomo, obviously their track record speaks for itself. They've been around forever, but this car is majority Yokomo. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really see why you need a bunch of stuff, but that's really the sort of only question mark for me with this car. But it's been a really great car so far. So really digging it. The Hydra chassis upgrades, if you have the regular Shark, I can't recommend this enough. It transformed this car. It was better once I did the Shark conversion, but this puts it on a diet. It's way lighter, way more nimble. Really changed the dynamic of the car. So anywho, that's it for now. I'm going to get started building this differential and get that lightweight diff in this thing, and we'll see where we go from there. But I've been blabbing for 12 minutes now, so I'll shut up and catch you guys later. I appreciate you stopping by to check out my channel. Thanks.